Hey guys, Yama Killer here, back again after a long-awaited week of what decks to play in each format this weekend. We got Standard, Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, and Pauper we're going to be going over today. I want to preface this entire video with two things. One, if you like the video at the end, make sure to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch and Twitter in the description below. I would appreciate that if you like the content. And two, there are certain formats that I have not played very much recently, and I'd like to preface that those formats are Standard right now and Pioneer. And while I have not played them very much, I have talked to people who have played them a good chunk, and these are the decks that they would decide to play. I would also tell you the decks that I would decide to play, even with little to no testing. But I believe that my opinion is somewhat informed because of the people that have been playing it a lot I've been talking to. Let's move right into it. Let us start with Standard. We've got what I've been told is basically the Tier 0 deck, Sultai Ramp. We've got 4 Uros and Nissa as the two main cards that bring together the deck and how you actually win the game. Interaction suite of Discard and Thought Erasure, removal spells and Eliminate, and Aether Gust type of removal spell / counterspell. We've got Shark Typhoon and Hydroid Krasis to use up all the mana from Nissa, and we've got Extinction Event, Casualties of War, Tameo, both as some forms of interaction with your opponent, rebuying things and getting some value, killing your opponents. Now this deck just plays a lot of lands and Uro and Nissa. Those are the ways to win the game, and basically you're just trying to be very consistent, curve up from 2, 3, 5, and just play your game plan as consistently as possible, lots of 4-ofs, and just beat your opponent with card advantage and reasonable removal spells on curve. You've got lots of interaction in the sideboard for decks like Mono Red or Winota and Heartless Act, some more Extinction events. And I just think that this deck is all around very well-rounded. You even have great cards to the mirror and Narset to gain yourself some more advantage and good against Uros and other ways to draw cards. I think this is just a really well-rounded mid-range deck that kind of can attack on all axes, and while it may have some holes here or there, the sideboard usually shores it up. And with so many land drops, it's pretty hard to get mana screwed. So I think something like this is the way to go in Standard. Personally, I'm not going to be playing Standard this week as I have multiple other events to be preparing for, and it's really early in the morning for me, as the Standard Challenge starts at 6 a.m. for me. But if I were to play the Standard Challenge, this is what I would play. Let us move on to Pioneer. Now, personally, what I've been told, many people, along with myself from what I've seen, Mono Green Planeswalkers, basically still one of the best decks, won the Pioneer Showcase event a couple weekends ago, won the Pioneer Showcase qualifier weekend before that. I think this deck is very powerful. You don't need to sideboard with it at all in any matchup, so it's very easy to play. You have a bunch of sideboard targets with Karn the Great Creator, Vivian Arcbow Ranger. You just play a very consistent turn 1 Elf, turn 2 some sort of ramp again, turn 3 Planeswalker, turn 4 Planeswalker, or something you got from your sideboard. Very straightforward, very easy to play. If you are new to the format or haven't played in a while, highly suggest this. Deck that I will be playing, if I do end up playing Pioneer this weekend, is this blue-black control deck. I don't personally think that this is the best deck in the format, but it's a deck that I think that I will have lots of fun with. You get to play for Dig Through Time, lots of interaction. You get to have Thing in the Ice to interact with the creature-based decks, and it just looks like it'll be a lot of fun to play. I'm not sure how it will play up against the other decks in the format, Mono Green Planeswalkers, and another deck that I think is one of the best decks, Temur Reclamation. But I think the blue-black deck is very fun. Temur Reclamation, another great deck to be playing, Wilderness Reclamation plus Expansion Explosion. Great deck from Standard, basically ported onto Pioneer. Lots of decks, same with Sultai Midrange and other decks that have been ported from Standard to Pioneer. I think all the 3 decks here are very good decisions to be made. There's some other decks you can play like Jund Sacrifice, Monorail Aggro, Sultai Delirium, some sort of Fires decks, but I think Pioneer is actually somewhat wide open, but when there's a deck to beat, it seems like a lot of people are playing it at the top. The week after that, people seem to be adapting to it. This is one of the decks to beat. Mono Green Planeswalker is one of the decks to beat. The deck that I'm going to be having fun with is Blue-Black Control. Now let's move on to Modern. We have the deck that I'll be playing this weekend, Mono Red Aggro with Obosh. It's more like Mono Red Prowess. You have 12 Prowess creatures, Swift Spear, Soulscar Mage, and Pseudo Prowess in the form of Blister Coil Weird. You have your Prowess enablers, Burst Lightning, Firebolt, Lava Dart, Lightning Bolt, Light Up the Stage. And then you have your value / creatures in Seasoned Pyromancer and Bonecrusher Giant. Very succinct, easy to get through, and ideal game plan. Tons of ones. get to interact like across the board with your creature, with the opponent's creatures, and if you need to kill quickly, you have cards like Swift Spear plus Lava Dart that kill them very quickly. In the sideboard, a lot of more 4-ofs. 4 Shattering Spree for Chalice of the Void / other artifacts like Ensnaring Bridge. 4 Blood Moons for Titan / other 3, 4, 5 color greedy decks. 4 Relic, Dredge plus Uro. Cosmic's Return for the pro white creatures that you are dealing with. And finally, a Bosch, which actually, seemingly enough that this deck wouldn't seem like it would go that long, but actually you get to play a lot to the board and interact with your opponent's creatures and their planeswalkers with a bunch of burn spells, and you can play something like a Bosch later in the game and just burn your opponents out. 6 damage lightning bolts, 2 damage lava darts, 4 damage fire bolts, 8 damage kicked burst lightnings, all ways to just kill your opponent out of seemingly nowhere when you don't really have much of a board or a presence in your hand. This is the deck that I think is very good right now, and I'm going to be playing it. Now, there's lots of other decks you can be playing, some sort of Uro strategy, Bant, Teamer, Sultai, lots of different flavors. I'm not exactly sure which is the best one, but those are the decks that I think are going to still be good. And you have decks like Neobrand in the combo area, Neobrand, quick turn 1/2 kills. If your opponent's not playing Force Negation, you're basically going to have a good matchup guaranteed. You have decks like Ad Nauseam and some other combo decks like Dredge, I would say, and you have other decks like, while this is an Abosh version, I think Gruul in some capacity is also very good. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that Modern right now is very wide open, very open to different strategies. If you want to play Uro and control it, you can play Uro and control it. You want to play Mono Red Blitz, you can play Mono Red Blitz. You want to play Prowess of a different version, you can play Blue Red, Red Black. You want to play some more mid-rangey things, you've got Gruul in some sort, Blood Braid Elf, Glorybringer, Blood Moon. And you want to play combo, you got Ad Nauseam, you got Neobrand, you got Dredge. Lots and lots of different strategies you can play. Basically, all of them are viable tier 1/tier 2, and all of them can easily take down a tournament. Modern's very wide open right now, and basically any deck choice can be defended with reasonable arguments given towards their success. So while I don't think that there's a top dog in Modern right now, what I think is I'm going to be playing Monorail Aggro in the form of this Prowess deck. I think many other decks are playable, but this is the deck that I'm going to lean towards. But basically, whatever you're going to lean towards in Modern, you can't realistically go wrong right now. That is what I think about in Modern. Now, Legacy, I've not been playing that much. Not as much as a nuanced take from what I've been told. Teamer Delver, basically tier 0. While there are other decks that can do well against them, they're usually not very good in the overall metagame. So if you are coming back into Legacy and you can play Delver strategy, highly suggest Teamer Delver. Delver, Daze, Force of Will, 48 other cards, doesn't really matter. But these are the cards to be playing, I think. Oko, Dreadhorde Arcanist, Hooting Mandrills, all very, very good together. Now, what deck I'm going to be playing is I have the Mana Trader series this weekend. Didn't have much time to test. I'm going to play Hogak. Theoretically, you should be good against Delver. Pretty bad against combo. Somewhat good against fair decks. This is what I'm going to be playing. I'm not so sure if I will be great at sideboarding or playing with it necessarily, but I have played it in the past and done well. Hopefully, I can do well in the Mana Trader series, which is the big tournament that I'm going to be playing this weekend with a $4,000 cash prize for first. That's my take on Legacy. There's probably much more nuanced takes and much more in-depth takes, but, you know, we're going over things quick and easy. That's what I think to be playing for Legacy. Now let's move on to Vintage. Today, I played some Vintage today. I played 6 matches in total, 5 of them against Bazaar of Baghdad. So, what am I going to be playing tomorrow in the Vintage Challenge? Doomsday. Doomsday absolutely smashes Bazaar of Baghdad decks. You have a quick combo kill, play a little bit longer, and have very good ways to interact with their anti-combo pieces as in their counter spells. You got Force of Will, Force of Negation, Daze, Flusterstorm, all this good stuff. You're still pretty good against blue decks with Dark Ritual and Doomsday, with Flusterstorm, Force of Will backups, and you all around just have a pretty solid matchup across the board. The one deck you really got to look out for is Underworld Breach. They hit you with Brain Freeze after your Doomsday, feels pretty damn bad. But besides all those, I think Doomsday is a very reasonable choice if you have some amount of repetitions with it. If not, play some sort of Bazaar deck, Dredge, Hollow Vine, Hogak Vine, some variation on Bazaar Baghdad, still pretty damn good right now. Finally, let's clear it up with Pauper. I've been doing fairly well in Pauper with both Affinity and Burn recently. Lots of top 8s, top 4s, finals, and wins with Affinity. Over the last 2 weekends, I went top 4 with Burn and then started a 3-0 run out and petered out to a 4-3. But I think Burn, while also most people, and I would agree with them, has a pretty bad matchup across the board. I think it does have some reasonable matchups in Tron, which I think is the tier 0/1 deck right now. But both Burn and Affinity have good matches, whereas I think Affinity is better across the board. So right now, I would be playing Affinity again. Right now, I'm sorry if I went a little bit quickly over most of these things and I talked a little bit too quickly, but I just wanted to get this done quick and easy. It is Friday. I want everyone to get the information out as quickly as possible, and I hope that some of the information I've given you today in any of the formats has given you an idea of what you want to play and what you can play in these formats and what is good. I hope that this video has been informational and useful to you. And if you liked it a lot, make sure to hit me with a like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter in the description below. And hopefully have a good grind on the weekend. Tell me if you did well with any of the decks in the comments. I'll see you next week in the video. Bye-bye.